I know I'm to blame. Ain't that a shame? Bill Bailey, won't you please come home?
Well, I'm Judy Geppel. I'm the secretary of the board of the Antique Car Run, and I'm with Mayor Bill Gassman this morning. He's ceremonially seen the drivers off for their 120-mile run this morning out of New London all the way to New Brighton.
Yes, and I'll meet them in New Brighton along with the mayor of New Brighton, Dave Jacobson. And in past years, I've had the pleasure of riding along to partway on the trip. This year I wasn't able to do that, but it's a really nice, fun experience. These guys are all passionate about their cars, and it's fun to see how big guys can play with their big toys.
Yeah, you know, for sure. This run is a reenactment of the London to Brighton run in England, which has been going on for over 100 years. We tried to put it on to celebrate New Brighton's 100th anniversary it started in 1987. Now this year, New London's celebrating their 150th anniversary. Yep. So it kind of fits that we replicate this English event. New Brighton is named after Brighton, Massachusetts, which is named after Brighton, England. So we have a kind of a thread that works through there. Great event for your city though, right?
Oh, awesome. We love having the people come here, and it seems like everyone enjoys being here too.
And you know, this city of 900 or 1,000?
1,252.
Oh, 1,252. We must have had some births along the way. This city is perfect for these old cars. They can ramble around town, low traffic, nice, warm people, everything. But once you get into the urban setting in the New Brighton area, which is a suburb of the Twin Cities, things get a little hairier. So, what a great day for the town. These cars only travel 20 to 30 miles an hour, so what takes a modern car 2 hours takes these cars more like 8.
Well, yeah, the first car will probably show up not before 3 o'clock.
No, they can't come into New Brighton before 3.
Usually they're about 4 o'clock before they show up.
More like 4 o'clock, and then they come in pretty regularly.
Yeah.
About 93% of the cars will make it all the way.
Yeah.
We'll have a few fallouts. You saw one of our support vehicles go by. They will pick up the remains on the road, as they say.
Remains.
Well, that's not the right thing to say, I guess. But so that's a little overview of the Antique Car Run.
Yeah.
We're in our 29th year. We're looking forward to our 30th anniversary next year.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
our name.
Now about 40 dozen so far we husked here. It's like really.
Oh, this is your corn. So it has the personal touch.
Now we just picked last night. Hey!
Well, we had a few people miss the turn on the 27th.
Gotta have some water.
My name is Jeff Burtis, and we are from Brooksville, Jeff and Connie Burtis, and we are from Brooksville, Florida. This is a 1908 Moon, 4-cylinder, overhead cam, overhead valve. Very unusual for the era. It is also the oldest known Moon.
My name is David Macy. My partner is Stacy Moeller from Minneapolis, Minnesota. We're driving a 1909 Buick. 1909 Rio, Ed Woloff, and we're been with the run for 29 years. Bruce Van Sloan, I'm out of Minnetonka. Oh,
It's a 1904 auto car. It's not auto start, it's auto car. Retard this part so you don't break your arm. How about a round of applause? Thank you. Who's stepping on that goose?
John Keenan from Blaine, Minnesota, 1910 Buick Model F.
Walter Burton from Rice, Minnesota. The wife polishes this car all the time, and it's a two-cylinder car, opposed engine, multiple disc clutch, sliding gear transmission. The model 14 Buick.
Rudy and Jen Rocket from Foreman, North Dakota. It's a 1907 Ford Model Auto.
Welcome to Buffalo.
The 1908 Model S Ford Roadster. I'm Paul Schaefer, and I'm from Valley City, Ohio.
This is a 1912 Maxwell Messenger. It's the last two-cylinder car that Maxwell made before they became Chrysler. This is our 29th run.
Greg Lang from Saginaw, Michigan. This is a 1908 Model S Ford. A Stanley Steamer. Welcome to Buffalo. A little bit about you and the car, where you're from.
Eau Claire, Wisconsin. This is my 22nd year. Same car.
Stanley Steamer, the first one here. And the only thing he's looking for is more water. This is a 1905 Stevens Terrier Mountain R. First gear for four-cylinder and steering instead of a tiller. Welcome to Buffalo. A little bit about you and your car, where you're from.
Stephen Terry Meichner from Moorhead, Minnesota. It's a 1910 Buick Model 14. This is our fourth run. Darrell Trimmer from Prospect, Pennsylvania. And this is a 1909 LG Maxwell two-cylinder, and we're enjoying our run. We're from Omaha, Nebraska. This is a 1909 Auburn. Probably one of about half a dozen of them or so that are still existing. So this is 6 times for me. Tony Schultz, St. Joseph, Minnesota, 1909 Buick Model F. First timer in the tour.
Rob Burchill, I'm from Jefferson, Maryland. And Mike Rega, he's from Washington, D.C. This is our first tour. 1912 Maxwell. A little bit about you and the car.
Nate Smith, my dad. Vince Smith from Spring Lake Park, and third time.
It's a 1908 one-cylinder Cadillac. I'm from Coon Rapids, Minnesota. This is my 9th run.
This is a 1908 Cadillac Model S. And this is my wife Paige, and I'm Brian Hyde from Lemoore, North Dakota.
Floyd Jader, St. Paul, Minnesota. This is a 1908 Model SR Ford.
I think it's a 1911 Maxwell.
Spicer, Minnesota, Dave Mickelson, Samantha Mickelson. Everything's working good so far.
'29. Every run from Spicer, Minnesota has been on. A little round of applause for that. 1907 Carter car.
We're from Neer, Texas, and the car is 2-cylinder horizontal opposed, and it has friction drive. 1908 Maxwell Model 8C, unrestored. I'm from Fargo, North Dakota.
Did you buy it new? Oh, I'm sorry. Well, welcome to Buffalo. Wow. The car's been in the family since new. Doesn't look new. Jason Johansson, I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. This is a 1960 Cadillac. How many times on the run? How many times have you done this run? 24 times? Made it most of the time? Most of the time.
My name is Kandiyohi. This is my wife, Lavon. My friends, Doug and Jane in the back seat. This is a 1909 2-cylinder Buick.
1908 Overland, Rod Pello, and I'm headed home, back to New Brighton.
Hi, this is Eric and Nicole Highland. It's a 1908 Maxwell Model LC Tourabout. It's our first time on the run. Yep. Clearwater, Minnesota.
Dave Shattuck from Kildare, Illinois. It's a 1903 Ford.
Ross McNavis and my daughter Colleen. The 1903 Ford Model A. From Ontario, Canada.
How many motors you got under that hood?
6-cylinder, 400 cubic inch. 6-cylinder, 400 cubic inch. 1907. It's a Ford Model K Roadster, one of the fastest production cars built. Milford, Nebraska.
Yeah, Dean Dorholt from Maple Plain. It's 1907 Model G Franklin, air-cooled 4-cylinder.
Rick Linder from Columbus, Ohio. This is a 1904 Ford Model A.
Well, I'm Tom Bates, I'm from England. The car actually belongs to Rick. He's just gone through it. The guy from Columbus, he's lent us this car. My friend Mike and I came over from England, and we've been letting this car to.
Is this your first time on this run? You're here, so it's second time. Yeah. And we understood most of that. Yeah.
I'm Dave Jacobson, the mayor of City of New Brighton, and it's an honor and a thrill really to be here to see these old cars. They're antiques, and it means a lot to the City of New Brighton because it draws people. There's a car here from Europe in this run. They come from all over the country. This is a premier tour. And you have all kinds of auto aficionados that just love this tour because it's a prime. There isn't anything else like it, and it's always fun for me because I have an old car, a 40 Buick, but it's not an antique, and it will be someday. But at any rate. I enjoy cars, I enjoy the stockyard days, and it's really an honor to let the mayor participate in this event.
Welcome to New Brighton. Could you tell us a little bit about your car and who you are and where you're from?
I'm Don Onstead. My trusty navigator here is Paul Pfeffer. We're from the Omaha area. This is 1909 Auburn. It's a 2-cylinder, 24 horse. They say it goes 40 miles an hour, but it's only got 5 mile an hour stopping brakes, so. But anyway, we had a great time, and we appreciate everything you guys have done for us. Thanks very much.
Welcome to New Brighton. Now we have car number 48 coming across the finish line. Welcome. Welcome to New Brighton. Would you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and something about your car?
My name's Paul Schaefer. I'm from Valley City, Ohio. And the car is a 1908 Ford Model S Roadster.
Car coming here now is number 11, Jim Laumeyer, 1908 Maxwell from Rice, Minnesota. And they're rolling forward. Welcome. How was the trip?
We have number 10 coming in. Walter Burton in his 1910 Buick, Rice, Minnesota. Car number 46.
Congratulations.
Welcome to New Brighton.
Car number 14. Car number 45. This car is a very special car. It's one of 2 in the world, I think. This is the only one left in the world. Car number 66. John Keenan and his friends. How was the trip, John?
The trip went great.
Number 20. John Elliott and Beth. John and Beth have been in this tour every single year and finished every single year as well. Car number 9 is next. It's one of the 3 Stanley steamers. This is Gene. This is my 22nd year, 20 years in this car. Car number 55. This is the 2nd Stanley steamer. There was 3 in the race and 1 got home a little early. This is Kevin Anderson and this is Kevin's first year.
Well, yeah, this has been my first year. It's been a wonderful experience. I was so nervous. I said, I wasn't that nervous the day I got married.
Number 3 from New London, Minnesota.
We had a great day today. We had a good drive. Thank you very much.
Car number 28 coming in. Hey, welcome to New Brighton.
Public, you and I, to the church.
Yeah, I like that. The tees actually have color cooler. Ned. Okay, yeah, I see Ned. You really want to go up there?
How you doing? Well, hello, dear. Good to see you. Uh-oh. Yeah. Fortunately, there weren't that many people interested in right.
And in the show they wear
17.
It's going to hit 200. You know, that's pretty specific.
Okay, you're good.
Back it against the curb over there.
Yeah.
Yes, you're okay.
Good job. Good job. Power steering.
Yeah, the way the carburetor that spring.
It's strictly original. It hasn't probably been driven very much in 30 years. Sat in a barn in northern Missouri for a long time. It is ready to go again, you know.
Have you had it on a run?
Never.
Ooh.
I don't think it's ever gone 120 miles at one time myself.
Ooh, wow.
But
so are you pretty confident it's going to get to the end of the run?
Yeah, that was the best Oldsmobile they made in 1906. Polish and polish, I just hope that it runs.
Well, now tell me about the Rio. Have you had that on any tours or runs?
It's been here before, and it didn't make it. It got hot and it moved the valve, the whole valve system right out the back of the motor. We haven't had it up here again since then, but we've been driving it a little bit lately, and it seems like it'll do a job. We get a little bit of a water leak. Our water pump is giving us little problems, but we got plenty of water.
Tell me about the museum.
Started in 2006, and we started out with about 65 cars in the city of Coralville. Coralville had this big warehouse building that they bought to tear down, and I told them that I really talked to the mayor and I talked to the city manager a couple times, and I said, you know, you really should have an antique car museum here. I'd been trying to get one going for years, but never had the opportunity to get a big building like that. So they finally agreed, and so we're getting the building for nothing, $1 a year, and we're now up to about 90 cars in the wintertime.
So these three here are yours then?
Yep.
That'd be the Olds,
yep.
And the Maxwell and the Rio. So have you run though in this ACR many times in the past?
Well, about 4. The first time we drove a 1905, the Model F Ford, my wife and I came up here and hardly knew a thing about it, except I knew how to tighten the bands, and that thing ran all the way through. And I don't know that we've gotten one through since then. We came with the family once with 4 cars. Oh yeah, and out of the 4 cars, the 08 Buick made it through. They usually need a little help before they make it.
Well, I bought this as a pile of parts. Oh, it's about 30 years ago. I called the guy, and he said, well, it's not a real car, it's just parts. He had a picture in Hemmings. It looked like a car, but he said there's nothing under the hood. The fenders are just sitting on it. And it's parts, some are missing and some are there. I really was lucky. He said, make me an offer. I said, okay, so I did. And he said, you just bought it. So I said, well, I'll take it on one condition. You have to haul it over to Fort Wayne, Indiana, where Paul Freehill has his shop. Paul Freehill at those days was known as Mr. Stutz. That's all he worked on. It took him 8 years to get it done. This is my friend driver. This is Anthony Gonzalez.
Franklins are pretty fascinating for many reasons. Does this have the wood frame?
Yes.
And the air-cooled 4-cylinder?
Yep.
Wow.
12 horsepower, 1907.
Tell me, how is it that you are into the old car business? Hobby.
It's just been a passion my whole life. Yeah, I have 3 Franklins.
Wow. What are the other 2?
1933 and a 1924. And then the 07, this one. I wanted to get one, a brass arrow one that was eligible for this run.
So is this the first time out in this run?
This is our 3rd year.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
And you made it to the end?
First year.
And maybe this year?
Hopefully this year.
You have a spouse that helps you with this stuff?
Yes.
Oh, and where would she be?
She is sitting in the truck reading a book, I believe.
Yeah.
But she enjoys it immensely.
Would she say that if I asked her?
I think so.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
Well,
it's like a parade wherever we go, she says.
Best of luck.
Okay, thank you.
We'll look for you at the end of the run.
Yes, we'll be there.
This is a 1905 Stevens Duryea, a 4-cylinder car. This was the first year that Stevens Duryea built a 4-cylinder car, and the first year for a steering wheel versus a tiller. I've had it for, this will be my 2nd run with the new London to New Brighton with this car. I have a little more experience this year, and I'm a lot more confidence in it this year.
Oh, so, but you're still going to cross your fingers?
You always got to cross your fingers with these cars.
So, now, Gloria.
Yes.
What brings you here besides your husband?
That's it.
That's it.
I'm the navigator.
Are you as excited as he is?
Oh no.
Oh no?
I don't think any of the wives can ever be as excited as the husband. They are very excited, the husbands are.
Have you been doing this with him for quite a while?
Since he's had it, yeah. And then he has other cars too.
Of course. All right. So now tell me why it is that you want to do this. That's a lot of commitment.
Well, it's a lot of fun too. We did it last year. We thought we were going to do it the year before and the car wasn't ready. So we did it last year, and we had a lot of fun. The people involved are great, and it's always fun just to get together and compare notes with everybody here.
It was their Model C. Oh, wait.
Were you looking for an antique car of any kind?
I was looking for another brass car, yeah.
Huh, okay.
I mean, you know, the search is always on.
Yeah. You never know.
I don't know. It doesn't end.
You don't know what you might find if you just keep your eyes open.
If you go look, you'll be surprised what one can find.
What's unusual is one lobe per cylinder. One lobe per cylinder. Instead of two, one for the exhaust and one for intake, one lobe runs them both.
We've had it over 60 miles. It was guaranteed in advertising to go 70 miles an hour. Haven't had the nerve to try it. This engine, 406 cubic inch, dual ignition, two separate redundant systems. The Model K in 1907 held a world speed record, 24-hour miles traveled in 24 hours. Frank Kulik was the driver, Henry Ford was attending. So it was a great victory, and Ford advertised it, and it's a big success for him. So we have a lot of work to do. It's been in museums since the early 60s. We know who all the owners were right from the very first owner. So, and they are a joy to drive, responsive, quick, a lot of fun.
Blower. Let her blow good. Is it blowing real good, Steve?
Well, there's no pressure right now. There's not much pressure. That's the problem, man.
Yeah,
Now if I open the bottom of the water tank to it, now it'll go up all the way to the top, huh? We were saying that the other day. And what we did then was we drained the whole system and started from scratch. I don't know, something that's not right. But I think if I go down the road.
All right.
Where are the directions?
Okay, I'm going to try something else now.
All right.
I closed the valve that's letting the steam in from the top.
Yeah. This one right here?
Yeah, I just closed that one. So we should get... It should go. We should be getting water blowing out of here now. Let's see if we get water blowing out of there good. That's your valve is open, right?
Yeah.
It isn't coming from the boiler, is it? Yeah. You got to close that valve.
Okay.
Close that valve. Okay. Now we should be getting just water here.
Nope.
When I was 15, I split the cost of a 1930 Model A Ford with my dad, and I drove it every day to high school. And between that and about 2000, I logged over 100,000 miles. I brought two cars this year. Both cars have been on this run before. This here is a 1903 Oldsmobile that I think was last on the run in 07. And my friend Dave Wigglesworth is driving it this year. 1903, 4.5 horse, runs about 20-22 miles an hour. It's a curved dash Oldsmobile, 1-cylinder, water-cooled, 2-speed. Steer it with a tiller. What's unique about a curved dash is you start it from the seat. You turn this Victrola handle while you're sitting on the seat and you start the car. The other car that I brought is back here, 1903 Ford, 2-cylinder, water-cooled, again a 2-speed, planetary transmission. It's a rear entrance tonneau, Model A. It's the 206th Ford produced. It was shipped to the Los Angeles Automobile Company on September 17th of 1903. Nice, smooth running car. Both cars run good.
This car was built by the St. Louis Motor Carriage Company in St. Louis, Missouri, and that truck just went by to screw up your sound. So I'll try that again. Well, they called it a St. Louis, and they advertised it as Rigs That Run. They built the cars from 1899 through 1905 in St. Louis, and then they moved to Peoria, Illinois, and changed the name of the company to the St. Louis Motor Car Company, Peoria, Illinois, and manufactured there for about 2 years. This is a 1903. The car was sold new in Stockton, California in the spring of '03. The original owner sold it in July of '05. It has a first year of issue California license number to the guy he sold it to. I bought it from his grandson. They stored it 102 years. The automobile company, the St. Louis Motor Carriage Company, was founded by my grandfather, George Preston Doris, and John L. French, also of St. Louis at the time. They had grown up together in Nashville, Tennessee, and so my love of this car comes from the fact that it was designed and built by my grandfather. This car has made this run 5 times. This will be the 6th.
And how many times did it get to the end?
5 times. Rigs that run. This is an original car. The engine has not been opened up. I had to remanufacture the wheels. Somebody had put Model T wheels on it. It had a big crack down the back of the body from where the poplar dried out. I patched that. The fenders were rusted almost to where they were breaking in half, and I had to restore them.
My name is Jim Hammond. I live in Iowa Falls, Iowa, and this is my 1910 Sears auto buggy. I actually started building my first Model T when I was a boy out of parts back in the late 1950s, and got it running by about, I guess, 1960, and I've had it ever since, and couldn't afford to buy a whole car, and at that time you could still find farmers and fields and barns that had parts sort of lying around that you could buy very inexpensively, and so I did. And so I've always wanted an older car, and so now I have one. You could buy these out of the Sears catalog, and they arrived at the nearest train depot, and they came in a big crate with the wheels off and the fenders wrapped and underneath the car, so some assembly required. They started in 1909 to sell them, and I think they had pretty well run their course by 1913. And really, you know, this came out sort of the same year as the Model T, and the Model T was twice as much car for you know, twice as much money, but even so, it was so superior in its engineering that these were anachronistic before they were even sold. I bought the car as a basket case in 1990, and I finally got it running in 2010, 2011. And so I've been working the bugs out, and this is the first time I've come on any kind of a tour. I made a 25-mile trial run back in Iowa just to see if I could, if it would go that far, and it did. So now I'm trying again. It has a 2-cylinder engine, and that has a big flywheel on the back, and there is a very smooth facing on that bolts to the back of the flywheel, and there's a friction wheel then that sits perpendicular, and it will scoot over with that red lever there to either side, so you get reverse and then you get low speeds and up to higher speeds. If I take out these floorboards, you can see the engine. Air-cooled 2-cylinder. And you can see the red wheel is the friction wheel. You can see it move if I move this lever. Oh, wow. Now it's on the other side of the center of the... For reverse. And so that goes backwards. So and then of course, there I can start going forwards, and I can push it. That's high gear as far as it'll go.
It's a Model 10 Buick, 1908. This car is the first model produced by General Motors. In 1908, Billy Durant bought the Buick Company because it was about to go out of business. And he sketched for David Dunbar Buick what he thought a car should look like, and 4 months later they started building Model 10s. Altogether they built 22,000 of them. And it's a 4-cylinder engine, makes about 25 horsepower. And of course it's that Buick valve in head design, which nobody else had at the time, and that's why it's so snappy. It runs really well. Okay, you can see the rockers up here and the valve gear. So you lube the rockers manually. You put oil on them about every 100 miles or so. And then the other interesting thing is that it has roller followers on the cam, which is another modern, very modern feature. When I took the head, I didn't take the head off, but when I took the valves out on this thing to do a valve job on it, I measured all of the clearances, and the rocker clearances were right at about 2 thousandths, which is just like brand new. So clearly they made it out of good materials, and it's lasted very well.
This is a 1908 Maxwell Model LC Tourabout. It's a mostly original car. It's was repainted many years ago, possibly back in the 20s. We're not sure, but you can see that in some areas where it was brush painted, the original pinstriping is showing through. So it's very likely the most original LC Maxwell left. There's probably a couple dozen of these particular make and model left in the world. We intend to keep it the way it is and run it. We did rebuild the engine and differential so that it'll be a good, reliable tour car, but we like the way it looks. We like the original patina. A friend of mine who's a fellow club member here named Mike Brannigan has owned it since the 80s, and he actually ran it in the New London and New Brighton run one time back in the late 80s. And then he had parked it. He has a wide variety of cars, and he had parked it for a long time because there was a problem with the carburetor. He intended to fix it, but he never got around to it. He knew I was looking for a 2-cylinder car, and he says to me, he says, I don't need to sell it, I don't even really want to sell it, but I think you'd give it a good home. And so we talked about that for about a year before he decided that I actually would give it a good home.
And when was that?
I picked it up last August, about a week after the New London and Brighton run.
Oh, okay. So you and the car are getting acquainted then?
Yes, we are. We're getting along well so far. It's a 2-cylinder, 14 horsepower car. Yeah, and we're just having a great time with it. We've been running Model Ts on the pre-tours for the last, I think, 7 years. And we finally were able to purchase a car that's eligible for the big run on Saturday, and so we're excited to do that. The New London and New Brighton pre-tours, we showed up on Wednesday, and that was our first actual tour with this car. We've been driving it around trying to ensure reliability, but yeah, it's just a great car.
You have a spouse that supports you in all of this endeavor?
Oh, most definitely. She drives it. When we got the car, we argued about whether it was a birthday present for me or an anniversary present for her.
If you're a smart fellow, you said it's for her.
Sure, that's what I said.
Okay.
Walter Lynn Burton, and the wife is Dorothy, and we restored this car together. We took every bolt, nut, and screw out of it, made new gears for the transmission, and we did it, got it all done in 2.5 years. In '97 we started driving it. We got about 25,000 miles on it since we restored it. It's a 1910 Model 14 Buick. 2-cylinder opposed, sliding gear transmission, 2-speed. Been a good car. This will make the, if we make it this time, it's 18 times it'll be made to New London to Brighton run.
So how did you happen to get into this this business, this hobby?
I was fixing parts for other people in the shop I was working in, and I worked there for 35 years, but I was doing that long time, you know, and fixing parts for Roy Bernick and all that, and making new parts for Oldsmobiles and different cars.
So you're doing that in your own home shop, or?
I'm doing it in my own home shop now. But I'm getting slower. I'm getting too old to keep doing it.
Well, just go slower then.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
Well, this is a 1909 Rio 2-cylinder chain drive. It's the last year for the Rio 2-cylinder. In 1910, they went to a 4-cylinder. Rio, of course, stands for Ransom Eli Olds, who was founder of Oldsmobile, tossed out of his company. And within a year, he had another manufacturing facility going and building cars.
When was that?
Late 4, early 5. And within 6 months of that, he had another 2-cylinder. First car was a 1, then he had a 2-cylinder. And yeah, they're neat. They're fascinating. They're fun to play with. Good people. That's all. Yeah, that's what it's all about.
The car looks pretty doggone nice.
Well, thank you. We've spent. I bought it restored, and back in 2008, and I've spent the last 7 years rebuilding the engine, the transmission, the differential, redoing the wheels, the fenders, new top. So yeah.
So obviously the restoration was cosmetic and not mechanical.
The restoration wasn't as it wasn't up for touring, and that's what I want to do with the car.
Sure. So how long ago did you buy the car then?
2008.
Oh, okay.
Came out of California. It was a complete chassis, which is getting harder to find today. To find a early car with the whole drive line is getting rare. And this was. And other than the fact we got a little bit of Ohio sunshine today, it's a nice day. We're real glad we came, and it's been a pleasant run so far.
Well, that's good. So what motivated you to do all this stuff?
Bucket list. It was on my bucket list. I'd seen the tour for many years. Didn't have a car when I did. It wasn't running, and so we got it up, and it's been doing itself justice. So yeah, we thought we'd drag it out here and see what we could do.
You want the back unloaded?
Bruce, thanks for the ride.
You're welcome.
That was a heck of a lot of fun.
You're welcome.
And we made it without any mishap, hardly.
Exactly.
Great car. So that was Bruce Van Sloan.
Correct.
Excellent driver.
Fine-tooth comb. I know I'm to blame.